and then one day he's like, I think I'm actually a Steelers.
Like I said, I feel like if I raised him the right way, I feel like it wouldn't happen. But if he did, I would support it. I'd be like, oh look, it's your team. Like, I don't know. I'm just really grateful to be on here.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Why would you get fined?
It's a saying in sports. Like
Oh,
they're contracted to do interviews afterwards, and so they have to respond to questions. So in order to get out of questions, they just go, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." And then somebody will also ask a question like, "When you missed that pass, like how did that make you feel?" I'm just here so I don't get fined.
That was Marshawn Lynch on the Seahawks. He didn't want to do an interview, but he found a loophole.
nice.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
We have a special guest here today. He is our resident expert. We're still looking for him, apparently. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Preston, and I recently finished 9th place in my fantasy football league.
Wow. Out of how many people?
12 teams.
Heyo.
Okay, but what did you finish in last year?
4th place.
Out of how many teams?
12.
Nice.
Only the top 3 get a prize though. So first loser.
Second place is still first loser.
So yeah, we are talking about the Super Bowl today. That's why Preston came in literally one of the last places teams merch in spirit of fantasy football.
But they have the best color scheme.
It is a good color scheme, right?
Yeah, and a good mascot. The logo needs some work, but
I mean, like in school, you like learn like blue and orange are like complementary colors, and I was like, yeah, I already knew that. All my teams have that.
is complimentary the word?
Or what is it? Yeah, isn't it?
Well, technically blue and yellow are.
I swear it was blue and orange.
Oh, maybe it is blue and orange, and then purple and yellow. That's right. And then
Well,
green
yeah,
and
but is
red.
complimentary the color? Because I thought complimentary is like 2 colors over kind of thing.
I thought it was just straight across.
Well, yeah, there is. I guess I don't remember what. Yes,
So
blue and orange are straight across, but I just didn't remember if it was called complimentary or not.
Yeah, I didn't major in art. Paige was an art major at one point.
I failed 2 art classes, and then I was like, not for me.
It just doesn't make sense because I liked your stuff.
I know. Anyway, we're talking about the Super Bowl. Big things. Big things. Exciting.
Big things in the Super Bowl. Also, I'm okay if we just talk about NFL stuff in general.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay. Well, let's start this podcast like we start every other podcast. Preston, what is football?
Well, a long time ago, a bunch of people got together. It's just a sport. But Paige and I actually went to the NFL Hall of Fame, and it actually just like started that way. They just like got together, and they have like one of the cars that like one of the owners like had, and they like gather around this car and just like created football and like made a game, and then it's just like evolved in different rules, and yeah.
Nice. So they were just chilling around a car, and they're like, we should make a new sport.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, there's probably like a lot more to the story if you go to like the museum and like actually pay attention, but we just kind of walked around and saw all the cool things. But yeah.
Nice. Do you know if it's based on rugby at all?
I don't know. I assume rugby came first just because the other
100% it did.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I know it's evolved. It used to not be as much passing.
Used to be a lot of running.
Yeah, it used to just basically be like whoever's the toughest is going to move the ball the most. But now there's a lot more like acrobatics involved. And then you got like Patrick Mahomes like throwing it like behind his head.
Did he do that?
There's like highlights of him, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's like falling to the ground, and you're like, yeah, there's no way that's a pass. And then they like slow mo it, and you're like, how is that fair?
Yeah, there's like a highlight reel of him like leaning to the side, and the rule is once your knee is down,
Or elbow.
or elbow is down, then you're down as a player. So he's like falling like a tree in the forest, and then he just like throws it sideways, and it gets caught, but they call for a review, and his knee is like 2 inches off the ground before he throws it. It's crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Way to go, Kermit.
I know. Right? Did you see there's an interview, they were like, can you give your best Kermit expression? And he was like, I'm talking right now, I'm doing it.
I did see that. That's why I
He's
said
like
it.
he's just like super self-aware. I love it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
I loved it.
It was good.
Next
Yeah.
question. Just kidding.
I think just like everyone expected, it was surrounded about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
You think the
But they
whole
were still
Super
good.
Bowl
Like
is
it was a
about
close
them?
game. What?
The whole Super I only watched the last quarter, so I actually don't know. Was
I don't know.
it
I
like
think
surrounding them?
like everyone was like waiting to see like how many touches is Travis gonna get. And then for like the longest time he only had like 1 yard. And then he got a couple more passes and then like of course like Usher, everyone was like, is he gonna bring out Bieber? So it's kind of funny, like there's a lot more like media. I feel like it was like Taylor Swift, is Bieber gonna show up? But
I think one of the things for me, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I am married one. Um, also, he goes beforehand, he goes, I'm not an expert. And I was like, that's okay, we won't call you one. And then I immediately called him one.
But compared to our average brains, expert.
Yep.
there we go.
One of my biggest things is like whenever the Chiefs had the ball, the announcers were like, Kelsey hasn't had it yet. Kelsey's not on the field.
Yeah, it was a lot. They were like, Kelsey's not on the field on this play, and it's like, why don't you talk about the people that are on the field?
Yeah, like there's a tight end equal to Travis Kelsey, Watson.
I think he's a slot receiver. He's a slot receiver, I think.
What's
Anyway.
a slot receiver? I've never heard of that.
It's like a smaller receiver. Like, so you have like an X receiver, a Y receiver, and a Z. A Z is usually like going to be closer to the ball. They're usually like a little bit quicker. And like almost kind of like a running back size, but they play receiver.
Cool.
So like the Patriots had like, I don't know if you heard of Wes Welker.
Nope.
He kind of like helped make that. I feel like there's I don't know, there's just lots of different like people that kind of they weren't like tall enough to be like a big time receiver, but like they had a good enough hands that like they could still be receiver. So they kind of put them in they just like slotted them in. So they're a slot receiver.
Oh, nice.
I have a question. I just thought of it. This is more like between us, but I'm just curious. What would be the highest amount of money you'd be willing to pay for Super Bowl tickets?
In our current circumstance, I don't know. Who's playing?
$200.
The Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are playing the Eagles.
Oh geez. I don't know. I feel like $5,000 isn't like super out of the question for like a one time, like you're only ever gonna do it once. Because people are paying like $20,000, and I'm like, there's no way that we'd ever pay that.
Whoa!
Per ticket.
Per ticket? Per
Like I
ticket?
feel like if we were in a spot that we could afford it, like I feel like that wouldn't be like that would be like a one time in our lifetime that we'd ever do it.
I guess in defense, I guess.
$10,000 hairs.
How much do families spend on Disney World, I guess?
That's what I'm saying. Like
5,000
it's
for
like
the whole
it's like a
family.
one time like, but it's like a one time event. Like you're only ever gonna do that one time. Like there's no way we're ever gonna be able to do that like ever again.
Whoa.
Wow.
I gotta start saving.
I don't know. You think of like a normal ticket for like a game is like just a normal NFL game is like $300. And that's just-
300?
yeah, and that's like
The NFL doesn't have cheap seats that are like $40?
Wait, tell them about the tickets that we got this year.
for where?
Miami.
Oh, we did get tickets to the Dolphins were playing the Ravens, and they're both like pretty good teams. We got those for like $50. a ticket. But then we sold them for like 75. But then when it came like time for the game, they were selling for like almost 250, $300. We just
Jeez.
bought them so far in advance before the teams like were like set. But like,
Why?
I mean, if you're a Panthers fan, you can get tickets probably for like nothing.
Woo, subtle jab of the
Yes,
Jaguars.
yeah.
The
The
Panthers.
Panthers.
Oh, sorry.
North Carolina, Paige. Come on.
Jacksonville actually has like some good people now.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Caleb.
Jacksonville's the Jaguars.
Yeah.
That's what I said, right?
That's what you said, but we're talking about the North Carolina Panthers,
Oh, I'm back on board. Back in.
right?
Again.
Am I right?
Yeah, it's just Carolina Panthers, but yeah,
Are they? Which Carolina are they in?
they're in North Carolina, but it's just they don't call themselves the North Carolina Panthers.
And the North Koreans
think they
don't call
want- they
themselves
want-
North
I think they
Koreans.
want
They
the
call
South
themselves
Carolina-
Koreans.
They must want the South Carolina fans, so they're just like, we're just the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, everyone knows. Everyone knows, though. There's a difference between North and South Korea.
Okay, I have another question, if that's okay. I saw a TikTok of this British guy, and he goes, "Here's my observations on the NFL." He goes, why are they still doing a kickoff if they kick off like to the back every single time? Like, can they just like say, "Oh, we're gonna put you guys at the 25-yard line," instead of opting in for a kickoff?
Well, I mean, you can still just like fair catch it. Like, what's your question? Why do they still kick off?
Yeah, like why is that still a thing? Because like if you look at the Super Bowl, every single kick was a kick to the back. And I know that like onside kick is still a thing, but like could you just opt and be like, "Hey, we're not actually gonna kick the ball, we're just gonna put it on the 25-yard line"?
Well, there's that off
No, I
chance
think
that you
it's-
don't kick it far enough.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that like there can be a mistake, and I think that's always like someone can muff the ball. You can have a kicker just like kick a terrible kick. You can have just like so many different things happen, and there's like some strategy. Like if you want to save time, you'll end up like doing like a squib kick, or you'll do an onside kick if you want to try a chance to get the ball back. But if otherwise, the kickers kick far enough now. Like if you just want to get the ball at the 25, like if you don't want your players to get hurt, just kick the ball through the end zone. I mean, the kicker in the Super Bowl even like doinked it. Like he hit the field goal post.
Yeah, which by the way, big controversy.
Over that?
Yeah, because they would have won, right?
On what?
No, you're talking about the free kick that was blocked.
Yeah, the block.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about that.
No,
Would you
he's
like to
saying
speak
that
on
on the
that for a bit?
kickoff that someone hit the field goal post.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that kick though?
Keep up, Paige.
I'm trying here.
I think it's a lot of pressure being a kicker, and if you miss a kick, you're gonna take a lot of flack no matter what. So
Yeah, but your whole job is to kick. Your entire job.
That's not entirely true because if you kick on a kickoff, and now all of a sudden you become like you got to tackle, you're like the safety at that point.
Yeah, but when people look back at this game, don't you think that they're going to look specifically at that as the first reason why they lost?
I think because it went to overtime, it kind of gave the guy a free pass. I think if they would have lost in regulation, I think that he would have taken a lot more flack. But like they had a whole second chance to win.
Well, and I'm also not saying I could do the job. Absolutely, I could not. Look at my little legs. Well, you never see my legs, but you know what I mean.
You don't think you could kick a, what was it, 57-yard?
No way.
I think the one he missed was actually like a shorter kick.
No, yeah, the one he missed was a free point, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying to do his job in general.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tough. My dad always thinks that he could kick like any kick. So like for college, we're like big Boise State fans. When we were kids, they used to do this thing called the pass, punt, and kick. So you'd throw it from the end zone, and then you would punt it from where and then you'd have to kick a field goal where it landed. And if you could do it, like you could win like a car, like you could win like all sorts of stuff. And every time like we'd go practice in the backyard, and my dad's like, "I think I could do it. I could do it easy." He's like, if I could throw it 30 and punt it like 40, then I only need to kick like a 30-yard field goal. He's like, I could kick a 30-yard field goal.
I've never tried to kick a field goal in my life. How did your dad feel about Kyle Brotzman? against the Nevada.
Let's just say it's a good thing my dad wasn't like on like all the social media.
That poor kid got like death
there'd
threats
probably be
over
some
that.
stuff. There'd probably be some stuff out there that like he wouldn't want to.
Okay, have you ever heard of like the greater the sorrow you experience, the greater joy you get to experience?
Okay.
So like I think that that's well, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's one of the reasons why sports are so like addictive, specifically like football in this case. Like you have a team that sucks for like the longest time, then you have like a change in team or a change in coach or even a change in like mentality, and then they come back from nothing and then they win. Like that's like such like a high feeling to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And you're like, I've been here since the beginning. Watched when they sucked, and I think it's like I think that's why it's sort of addictive.
And then you have me for the NFL. I'm just like, who's doing pretty good this year? I'll go for them.
So who'd you go for this year?
I actually went for 49ers this year, even though I actually felt like the Chiefs would probably win it, even though the 49ers were a higher seed. So there, I'm not completely oblivious to the NFL. Here's the reason. When I was small, our oldest brother Nate had a 49ers jacket that he grew out of, and then I got it.
That's cool.
And I've been a 49ers fan because of it. I've
That's
never not
actually
liked the 49ers.
well, I texted Nate and I was like, "Hey, your team made it to the Super Bowl. Congratulations." And then like Preston has other reasons for liking the 49ers, but I also really like Brock Purdy's story
Yeah,
of how he was like Mr. Underdog.
irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. Last pick in the draft.
Yeah, I love that story. I love that like underdog story. And I hope that he goes on to earn like a big contract,
Oh, he
because right now
has
he's
to.
not,
He's still under a rookie contract. Is that right?
Yeah, he made like 800 grand this year.
well, only 800.
Yeah,
Mm.
and okay, when you compare it to Patrick Mahomes, like 30 million, yeah, only 800.
I thought he was getting paid 40 million.
It's a crazy amount. I don't know. And plus he's doing all his endorsements and stuff like that. I mean, they're not hurting for money.
Yeah, I
Patrick
mean,
from State Farm.
Buddy Boy has a Fortnite deal.
Oh yeah.
He's probably got to deal with everything.
Is he on a Wheaties box?
Probably. I feel like Wheaties isn't as big anymore. You know, that used to be like the thing.
Yeah.
Can you get on a Wheaties box? Now it's like, can you get on a State Farm commercial?
Yeah. Speaking of State Farm, did you know that every State Farm commercial he's in, Jake from State Farm has to wear a long sleeve shirt?
I did know that.
Yeah, I heard about that because of the muscles.
Yeah.
Because he's too ripped.
Yeah, Jake from State Farm is more ripped.
Well, could you imagine like a bodybuilder go out there and like throw a football? Like their arms wouldn't have enough range of motion.
Jake from State Farm isn't a bodybuilder though. He's just I I cut, I guess.
Yeah, I know, but I still think it's funny. Like just imagine like somebody like the biggest muscles.
The real issue is Patrick Mahomes is like a classic NFL dude where like he has enough muscles to get his job done and he's going to spend the next months just like drinking and partying.
Yeah, he was on the. Did you watch the Netflix documentary?
No.
The quarterback. Oh, they did one like a year or two ago. They had him on and two other quarterbacks on, and they just like followed like their lives through the whole season. And you can tell he just lives like a lot more like luxurious life than the other guys. Like they had like the quarterback for the Vikings on, and he makes pretty good money too, but his was like a lot more focused on like God and family and like he had like a room in his house like for his stuff, and Patrick Mahomes was like had stuff like all over the place. Wearing like gold chains all the time and stuff like that.
I have a question for you. Let's say hypothetically like a fan, well not a fan, somebody who's never really watched the NFL before, but this year they got interested in it and they want to choose a team. How would you tell them to go about choosing their team that they're going to support for the rest of their life.
I don't know. I feel like it's like it's like little things like Caleb, like where like you just pick a team one day and you just stick with it. That's the biggest thing, like committing to it and like sticking with it. Like one of my childhood friends is a Titans fan, and the Titans have like sucked for like the longest time. But
Are,
he's a Titans fan, and like he's still a Titans fan to this day. And like when you ask him, he doesn't really have like a real reason, but he chose the team, and that's his team.
are the Titans the ones who won the Super Bowl by stretching their arm and barely crossing the end zone? Was that
I
Titans or
don't know.
Patriots?
You're like testing my knowledge there. I don't know.
Yes, I'm just gonna say, like, to your point there, Paige, about like which team do you pick for the rest of your life? Like 49ers will always just be a team that I'm like, yeah, I hope they do well, you know. But like they're not always my favorite. Like going into it every year, I'm not always gonna pick the 49ers. Like I think I'm probably gonna become an Eagles fan. Or I guess the full story is like wherever Kellen Moore is, I'm gonna be a fan of him. So he's going to the Eagles. So I hope they do well. But also at the same time, how cool would it be if the Chiefs are the first people ever to get 3 Super Bowl wins?
That would be pretty cool.
That would be
I
cool.
mean, to be there when history is there, but not for Preston. I'm just saying, as somebody like as like a spouse. Sorry, babe. As like a spouse, it's sort of weird because like I when I married him, and now like he's just so devoted to the Broncos that I think if I was like, hey, actually, I'm a really big Seahawks fan. Like I think he would have a genuinely like, okay, are you really though? And I'd be like, yeah, I like their colors, and he'd be like, but are you really a fan? Like I think we'd have that conversation almost daily. Like if I wore a Seahawks shirt, I don't think he would say anything, but I do think he'd be like, uh. Like it runs way deeper in him because of him and his family. But like if I just like chose that one day, I think he'd be like,
Let's
this
talk this
captain.
through, Preston. How would you feel if Paige decided for some reason that she likes some other team that's not the Broncos?
I don't think she would. I don't think she ever would. Like I think she would like people. I think she would like she likes actors. I think she'd like athletes. I think she would choose like she really likes Josh Allen on the Bills. So but she wouldn't call herself like a Bills fan. But I think she just likes people. If she chose a team that wasn't Denver, I think it would feel like a little bit like, what are you doing there?
Okay, but like
But
let's
but like the Seahawks, like they like Denver doesn't play the Seahawks a whole lot. So like it'd be like a lot bigger if she chose like the Raiders or the Chiefs or the
Steelers.
Chargers. Even Steelers, like they're in the same like league, but like I mean, if she became a Raiders fan, we'd have a really hard time.
Yeah,
You
but what
guys,
would you
you
do?
guys are in Steelers country, right?
Yeah. I have gone in to multiple Steelers stores with him, and I'm like, hey, do you want to get this? Because like it just like represents where we're at and like our community a little bit. And he's like, no, I'm never gonna wear that. And I'm like, what? Like I bought him, this is baseball. I bought him a Pirates crew neck. Like I came back from the store, me and mom, and I was like, look, I got this for you. And he goes, thanks. And then he never wore it. And I think he was just trying to be nice. So now I wear it. And he doesn't say anything when I wear it. But like it's just interesting to see how deep the loyalty goes. Like not that he's
Interesting.
choosing it
I'll
over.
wear like a hat. Like I have a Pirates hat. Like I'll wear like a hat, but I don't know. It just feels like a lot of commitment that I could spend on my team.
Okay. Now, what about this? Like, say you guys live where you're living for the next rest of your life and you raise your kids there and all their friends just love the Steelers and they become
I've thought
Steelers
about, I know,
fans.
I think I know where you're going. Like I've thought about that, like on a lot of things. Like even like Boise State, like I'm diehard Boise State, but like Paige works for WU, like we're like right next to WU, like. But I don't think I could ever give up. I don't know. Paige has been like, if Salt Lake gets like a football team, would you switch? And I was like, I don't know. I think it would just make it easier that it's now closer to go see a Denver game. Like
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't
So
know that
you're
I could give up.
solidified, but like what about like other people though choosing other
Yeah,
things?
like if I had a son that chose like to be a Steelers fan,
A son that you raised in Broncos onesies and got him a jersey and painted his face
I
blue, and then one day he's like, I think I'm actually a Steelers
like I
fan.
said, I feel like if I raised him the right way, I feel like it wouldn't happen. But if he did, but if he did, I would support and I'd be like, oh look, it's your team. Like, I don't know. Like I have friends that have other teams and like I cheer for their teams. Like I have a friend that's like a diehard Niners fan and I was texting him during the game and like cheering with him and stuff like that. And but like at the end of the day, like if it's his team versus mine, I'm still gonna root for my team.
I do think also one of the things that I think it would be a little bit hard in the beginning. I think he'd be like, "Where did you get that shirt?" And he'd be like, "Oh, mom bought it for me." You know,
But
but
also it like makes sense because like we live close. So I'm like, oh yeah, like you're not gonna find a Denver Broncos like shop in West Virginia.
I think also it'd probably start like I'm sure that they do like I know for a fact in Kansas City they do Chief Days where like everyone in the schools where like elementary schools and stuff they wear like Chief jerseys. I think they do that here where they will ask like kids to wear like WVU stuff or Pittsburgh stuff, you know? And I think it would start out that way and that's probably
Yeah,
how.
but even still, like I remember there was a kid like in high school, like when it was like Boise State Day, he wore his Nebraska Cornhusker shirt, and I like hated it, but at the same time, I was like, that kid's like a diehard fan. Like he wants everyone to know, like I grew up in Nebraska and I'm a Nebraska fan, and like I'm like, that's how I want to be. That's how I want like my kids to be, I guess.
Yeah, but it would sort of be fun though if the Raiders played the Broncos. It'd sort of be fun to see like a future kid razz you the whole time.
I don't know if I think it'd be that fun. I think I'd be a better sport than some, but at the same time, I would be like, all right, that's enough.
I'd be such a poor sport. Like I already know I'm like brainwashing Ev into Boise State just because like there's so much BYU stuff here.
Yeah, like if one day she came out as like an Idaho Vandals fan, like she wants to go to Moscow, like what would you do?
I would probably laugh, honestly. Like it's that's like they're just not good. Like I mean, I feel like the Steelers analogy, at least it's still a pro team, but the Vandals, they're like what FCS?
Are you just
Yeah, they're
like, do
FCS.
you want to lose? Are you
Well, no, they're
okay?
really good in the FCS.
Yeah, they were ranked like fifth at one point this year.
Well, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound like first to me.
Okay, but I
Boise State
mean,
was also never number one.
yeah.
Not this year, right?
I don't think Boise's ever been number one. I think the highest Boise ever got to was like two or three.
We would have been without Kyle Brotzman, but
So
To
this
be
episode is
fair, that
actually turned into us hating on Kyle Brotzman.
that game was lost against Colin Kaepernick, right?
we don't want to get political, I don't think.
Well, I'm saying like bro went and became an NFL quarterback, so we can give Boise.
there's a lot of good quarterbacks that like a lot of good players that have come out of like Mountain West or versus people that Boise State's played. Like Josh Allen played for Wyoming.
That's what I was gonna say.
Paige is like, oh, I need the mic. I need the mic.
I know a few facts about the NFL, and that was one of them.
Paige is like, Josh Allen, tell about Josh.
But yeah, no, Colin Kaepernick is like a way good quarterback. Like, I mean, he could be playing like, I feel like he could still be like on. I would say I'd probably take him with Russell Wilson right now.
I don't know who that is.
He's the current Denver Broncos quarterback. He won yeah, he won Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and we're paying him like way too much money, like 50 million in Walmart cash.
Jeez.
Football fact. There's a guy who keeps track of Russell Wilson's touchdowns, like thrown touchdowns, versus how many toilets he has in his mansion. And it takes him like all season to hit that number.
Wow.
It's 12.
How many games do you play in a season?
17 games.
Wow.
Of course, there's 17 weeks, so I guess 16 games you get to buy.
Jeez. So there's just 4 games that he just
He,
doesn't even.
he's just terrible.
Is it just thrown touchdowns though? Does he hand it
No,
off
like
and
if
they
he
run it
runs in
in?
for one, I think they count it too. I think it's just touchdowns.
But I mean, if he hands it off and they run it in,
Oh, that I mean, yeah, they don't count that for you.
okay,
Because he's just the middleman. He's just passing the ball.
you still touched it. I don't know.
So you're gonna give
Trying to
every
help him out.
count every touchdown as a stat for the center.
Yeah.
He got 400 yards,
They should
800
That's like
passing.
a total like baseball thing though. Like baseball, like if you ever want to get into like nerdy sports, baseball like statisticians, like my brother, he's like way into like baseball stats. They track everything. Like I feel like that'd be like a baseball thing that they would track as like touchdowns created. Like how many plays were you in as the center that you created a touchdown and like all you did was hike the ball. But like they would just like track that and like they'd be able to tell you like, oh, Jason Kelsey had 5,000 touchdowns created during his career or something. But like there's like 11 other or there's 10 other people on the field like that could like determine like what happens there. So
No, if you don't touch the ball, you don't matter.
that's what it feels like sometimes, right? You don't get paid as much.
Yeah.
No, the linemen actually get paid pretty well these days.
Yeah. I don't
You
know
know why?
anyone's salaries.
Taylor Lawrence.
Blind side.
The blind spot. Yeah. On the blind side, she goes, this man, something, something, Taylor Lawrence. I don't know. It's a monologue at the beginning about a guy who watches the blind side of the quarterback.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that guy's name is Michael Orr.
No, it's because of Taylor Lawrence that he gets paid so much.
Speaking of
I don't even know.
Taylors,
Is that the name?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Are you bothered with Taylor Swift footage?
No, I think it's fine.
I honestly feel bad for them. In my opinion, I feel bad for him because, like, I think Taylor has found a guy who is willing to let her shine as a star that she is. Like, it feels like a lot of the guys that she's dated in the past, they want to be the center of attention. And then like Joe Alwyn, he was a model, but I think he just became a model because Taylor like urged him to do something. And then I think he also didn't want to be in a spotlight. He didn't want their relationship out there for everyone to see. So I think Travis is like, yeah, you're wonderful. You're awesome. Go be you. Show the world how cool you are, and I'll be right beside you. And then like so I think that's cool in that regard, but like I don't think they like the attention. And I feel a little bit bad that it's so much pressure on their relationship.
I feel like they actually don't care about the attention. They're both so used to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're missing any plays. Like I feel like people are like just like show the game. I'm like, there's time in between plays anyways. So like, and it just like it gets more people to watch. So then like, I don't know. I feel like any sort of attention for the sport is good.
Yeah. I saw this great TikTok on Instagram. um it was this girl, she's like a Swiftie, and she's just obviously making fun of like football people. Just like, I was watching a 3.5 hour Eras tour, and there's like 40 seconds in the whole thing that shows Travis Kelsey, and that's just not fair to us Swifties who want to just see Taylor Swift. It's like, yeah, that's yeah. Why do people
Funny
not
thing
get
is, I
that?
feel like there's actual like NFL fans that were tuning into the Chiefs games just to like see Taylor also, but like they wouldn't say it like. But like they normally wouldn't go watch a Chiefs game, but they went to watch it just to see like, oh, was she there? You know,
Yeah.
like they don't even know enough about Taylor, but like I think there's also a lot of people that were like, is it true? Like, is it legit? Like, are they like really like? There's a lot of people that are like rooting for him in the football world there too. Like that a football guy can go and get like the biggest pop star in the world. Like they're like, that's got to be pretty good for the sport. Like,
Well,
you know,
look at Taylor's history here. Okay, none of the boyfriends she's had really match up with the guys that she sings about as like the end game guy.
yeah,
But Travis Kelsey kind of does. Like if you go back to like her early albums, especially when she's like doing country, like she wants to be she was the girl in high school who wanted to date the quarterback, but she wasn't cool.
yeah.
So like she wasn't the cheerleader or whatever.
Fun fact about
but
Taylor
now
Swift.
she's with the star.
She grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, and
Mhm.
I lived in Reading, Pennsylvania for 6 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we'd always go joke, let's go find Taylor's parents.
Nice.
Okay, I will say one thing too about the Taylor Swift also.
The Taylor Swift.
The thing that we're talking about. I really like Josh Allen. I think that he's a funny guy. I think that he's very down to earth. And he's been trying really hard to get to the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs just like cut their knees off every time. But he's supposedly dating Haley Steinfeld. And it's not confirmed, but she was just asked at the Oscars. They asked her to like who she was like rooting for or something, but then afterwards she goes, "Go Bills." And that's the team that Josh Allen plays for. And so there's been almost like a wildfire of like, oh, they are dating. Like there's been pictures of them, like paparazzi photos and stuff like that, but not like official ones, I guess. Like it hasn't been acknowledged by either of them yet.
Well, it's also not like the first time that like someone in the NFL's like dated someone. Like what's Russell Wilson's wife?
Sierra?
Sierra. She's a singer, right? Singer, actress.
Singer.
Yeah, but like they didn't get as much spotlight. I mean, Russell Wilson kind of sucks this year, so
Well, there's
Simone.
someone on the Packers who straight up married Simone Biles.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or they're engaged.
He's not
or
even like
something.
he's like I just like saw that stuff that like he said like he didn't even know Simone Biles was like, and I'm like, that's Simone Biles. She's like one of the greatest gymnasts in the world. What do you mean you don't know Simone Biles?
Yeah.
Like, you ever heard of the Olympics? Have you ever heard of America?
Do you think it's gonna be a trend that like celebrities and football stars start like hooking up?
Yeah, I think it'll be a trend that people that have money will date other people that have money.
I mean, has it been going on throughout history? I feel like it's not like a
I don't know. I feel like other sports, like Marilyn Monroe dated like Joe DiMaggio, who's like a big baseball player,
okay, yeah, baseball is its own animal though, because J Lo's like married like
and
half
A-Rod.
half of the MLB.
But she's with like Ben Affleck now, right?
I
Yeah.
I don't think so. I thought they were done.
They got married, right?
They're married.
I thought
Yeah.
they split. Huh.
You gotta keep up with that, Caleb.
I don't know. All I know is at one point or it might even still be, I think she has more rings than Tom Brady.
That's pretty good.
Well, unless you count Ben Affleck's ring as the original ring when they got engaged the first time. Back in like the 1990s.
I mean, unless he used the same ring, it's a different ring.
Probably not. I will say I do think that that baseball, as much as I love it, and it still has like a lot of money coming in, I do think that the NFL has like taken it over as like one of the bigger sports that people watch, and I think that's a lot to do with the media. Like I feel like the media is really good about pushing that and like, hey, this is a huge thing. Everyone should be celebrating. Everyone should take time off for this. Which by the way, I wanted to talk to you about I wanted you to tell Caleb the Saturday Sunday thing
What
for
about
the
it?
Super Bowl
Saturday, Sunday.
about moving the day.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, what? I know something. This is like in National Treasures when Riley like holds it out for a little bit because he's like, I know something that you don't. This is amazing.
They're gonna move. They're talking about moving the Super Bowl.
Well, it's just like a theory going around. It's just like a thing. So people get together on Super Bowl Sunday and they get hammered, right? Like it's just a party and it's a huge event. And also they were talking about traveling. Like it would be easier on people to travel to the Super Bowl and then travel home before work. So more people would be willing to go. And so it's always on Sunday, right? For like the longest time for all the Super Bowls, it's always on Sunday. So some of the fans are calling for it to be on Saturday though. So then that way they can get even more drunk and sleep off the hangover instead of taking a Monday off.
But
Yeah.
I feel like there's more people that work. What was that?
Yeah, I think there's more like places that are open on Saturday, right? So Like they'd have to compete with other places and other businesses. And
Yeah, people still work
I don't
on
know.
Saturdays.
Like I
So
know that they
it's
said that
possible.
I think they said this was still the most watched Super Bowl, but there were still like 200 million people that didn't watch it. So
I wonder if they counted me. I was watching it on an illegal stream.
I'm sure they have a way that they like statistically they're like, well, if you look at the US Census, there's this many people per household and this many some stat guy that like knows enough about whatever.
Who
I
knows?
don't know.
The NFL knows.
Yeah. The NFL though, they're doing like a really good job of like marketing outside of the US though too. Like
Yeah,
they've had
didn't they
games
like
in,
have
like
like a German weekend or something?
yeah, they went to Germany this year. They go to England every year. The Jaguars like it's like their second home. Like they play in England like every year the last couple of years.
Wow,
And
how do they feel
then
about leaving Carolina?
I think that was a shot at you.
Me or you?
No,
No, it
at
was a
you.
shot at you.
At me?
No, at Paige.
Hey. Well, the illegal police for streaming illegally are coming after you now. Called anonymously. I'm me.
I mean, I
But
was
like
just
they
telling
also
a
have the
joke.
Raiders
For legal purposes, it was a joke.
the the Raiders have played in Mexico City a couple times. But they announced like a couple other cities I think this year that like Brazil I think is going to get a game this year.
Are they just
So
trying to get football like around the world?
I think they're trying to see how big it can get without like breaking it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I do know that the London one actually did like super well. Like London loves it.
Well, yeah,
But over there
they love
it's
football, but how
also
do they feel
like
about
almost like
football?
a Super Bowl. Yeah. It's almost like a Super Bowl though for them over there because it's just like one game, you know? Like if your country only gets one game of this sport, like why wouldn't you go watch it?
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody interviewed like one of the TikTokers went run around London and asked like the people going into the event, like, "Hey, if London got a team, would you support it?" And they were like, "Absolutely." And they were like, "Well, what would you name it?" And a lot of people honestly said Jaguars because they were like, we like the Jaguars, you know.
Mhm.
But there was a couple. One of them was the Kings, yeah, for King Charles. One of them said Queens for the.
I like the Royals.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one I was gonna say. The Royals was one, and I like that. That one's cool. I like that a lot.
What about the bridges?
I don't know. You got to watch out for Pittsburgh. You know, they might want to switch to the bridges.
Why does Pittsburgh have bridges?
Yeah, Pittsburgh has a bunch of bridges. Steel bridges. Steel.
Steelers.
But what about the London Bridge?
I don't know. They could go generic like Cleveland Browns. It's just like England whites or I don't know.
They could be
What's like
the
a
England Jacks.
like purple? Isn't purple like a big color over there? The England purples.
Royals probably makes the most sense.
Yeah. I mean, you have like Kansas City, like in baseball, the Kansas City Royals. So like it wouldn't be like unheard of.
Yeah, and then there'd be an Italian team. It'd be like the Rome priests.
Hey,
Vatican Knights.
on a completely different subject, just to like take us like way off topic. Subway recently changed my favorite sandwich. It was the spicy Italian, and now it's called the Italian hot shot, and it's like double the cheese. It's just like worse. It's like more expensive.
Why don't you just build your own sandwich?
I don't think you can anymore.
You
They
can.
like
I just did it a week ago.
oh well, I for years it was spicy Italian herbs and cheese. It was just like the easiest sandwich, and now like it's not even saved as a favorite anymore. They like completely took it off my app, and I was like, what? But Josh Allen also was recently on a Subway commercial trying to take us back.
Okay, Super Bowl. Um, the overtime. There's some controversy where
The
the
49ers players
49ers,
said they didn't know.
yeah,
Yeah, but I'm like, how do you not know about your own sport? Like,
Well, and also, didn't the ref literally say it before he flipped the coin?
yeah, I think he said it was two different. It's just different because like all the other games are played differently. So they're like, this was the first year, but it's kind of just seems like you didn't read your employee handbook and now you want to go complain about it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like your coach knew and your coach made the call and you play for your coach. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw something where the coach was like, "Well, we were thinking that we'd score, then they'd score, and then we'd score and win." Is that how it works?
well, it's basically just the second like quarter. So like it's just I mean, I guess like a third quarter technically, third half. I don't know how you. Anyways, um, so it's just like a whole nother period that they play. So if they would have got they got a field goal. If the Chiefs would have got a field goal, they would have kept playing. They would have kept playing until someone got um a touchdown, I guess, or after they scored. Then I think after both teams score, then it's whoever scores next. So they could have gotten another field goal and won. So if they would have held the Chiefs to a field goal, then yeah, they could have gotten the ball back and won. So then they would have had two chances at the ball, whereas the Chiefs only got one chance. Does that make sense? But I don't know. I thought they would have. I think in that situation, I would want the ball second because then you know what you need to do. Like, no matter what, the second chance team gets the ball. So
Yeah, well, I mean, if you got the ball second, you could if so like say the Chiefs got it and then they scored a touchdown. The Niners would know they'd have to score a touchdown, but then they could also just run a 2-point conversion instead of a free kick, right?
yeah, you could put like a Boise State Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. Why not do that?
I did say to him, I remember we were watching it, and then I was like, on the fourth down, I was like, they should just go for it. They should try to get the first down. I was like, they should fake the punt. They should do something to try to get the first down. And then Preston said he was like, well, this is like guaranteed 3 points. But like, it didn't make sense in my mind. Like, wouldn't you want to try your hardest? And wouldn't that be the hardest? Like you're giving them an opportunity, no matter how small of an opportunity, it's still an opportunity.
I think Patrick Mahomes is just good enough. You give him any time and he'll find a way to win. So I think it was basically gonna come down to whoever had the ball last. And like they were the last ones to like if the Niners would have had more time at the end of the game, I think they got the ball back with what like 20 seconds. If they would have had like a minute, just like Patrick Mahomes had, or 2 minutes, I think they could have gotten down and got a field goal also. Of
Anyway, thanks for coming.
course. You're welcome.
This was our first guest in like a 3-person format. Heidi is the first guest. Like she filled in for me that one time. But
Yeah, we're gonna have more of these. Okay.
There's like a lot more in the NFL too, like all the gambling and all like the fantasy football.
We'll have to do another episode. That actually be pretty fun to talk about fantasy football and maybe like do one with Preston.
oh
Is
yeah, that'd be
it
fun.
like a league? Like a draft?
Yeah, it's
I,
intense.
I think we're gonna pull him back for March Madness.
Ooh.
We do like March Madness.
I actually know more about March Madness, I feel like.
I let Everest pick my brackets last year, and I did really good on the first round, but it doesn't matter unless you like do well on the last rounds.
Yeah, what's the furthest round somebody's gotten in the brackets?
Oh, like a perfect?
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's chosen a perfect Final Four. I feel like maybe someone's chosen a perfect Final Four, like all the way perfect until there's 4 teams left. But that would be my guess. Final Four.
Well, I'm
Sports.
just saying, like I won a lot of the games of like the 64. They're 64, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like teams, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I won the
Yeah.
first thing, but I'm saying like you get more points if you get people in the final
Yeah.
than because like I
Because you
think
start off with
dad
1 point, and then you get like 2, and then like 4, and then 8, and then 16, and 32 or something like that.
yeah, I think I won like 5 or 6 more games than dad, but he got more points than me.
I got really close last year.
Yeah, I didn't do too hot.
We're doing it again this year, March Madness. We should do an open bracket for the podcast. See if anyone hops in.
Oh, comment if you want in.
We'd love that.
You can just create like an ESPN link and anyone can join it.
That would actually be pretty sick. We could do a giveaway again.
Sweet.
Cool.
Thanks
All
for
right, well-
coming.
Be on the lookout. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye, I love you.
Wow.
Nerd.